can understand that.
Can't even trust myself.
Do you trust yourself that you're not going to continue using marijuana?
Guaranteed, I would never touch it again. It drove me insane. And I tried to conform it into my own narrative to say that it helps, it helps, it helps. But I've texted Chris that said I'm no longer going to fight the system anymore. But when you pour salt on a snail, what's it do? It cripples it. That's me to jail. As soon as you threaten me with jail, I will do anything not to go to jail. And I'm not trying to, well, I say that, you know, when you put that tether on me, it's basically jail.
Why is that?
Because I'm, okay. Lauren and I got tattoos before she passed. And she called me Aunt, just like my mom did. And her favorite color was pink, just like my mom's. So we went and got tattoos of an ant. And there's a specific Bible verse passage that talks about the ants. And it says, go to the ant, you lazy one, which having no overseer, commander, or ruler, provides her supplies in the harvest for the winter. Ants represent diligence, endurance, strength, provision. I'm an ant. And you're trying to smush me.
I'm not trying to do that, Anthony.
Well, I have a lot that I can offer to society if you just leave me alone. A lot.
And what's that?
Look at my business. Look at my business. Well, every single household I enter, I'm the owner of the company. I give poor people free service calls. I sometimes hand out money. I offer prayer. The reason why I own my own business is to have that intimacy between me and the person in front of me in their own home. And I don't weigh them all out the same and say, well, your furnace is broke like theirs, so therefore you have to pay the same price. Every case is different. And you look at bond violations as jail time, period. Bond violation, jail time. No matter the circumstance. Despite the fact that I paid a bunch of money to your lawyer that has an office upstairs that's supposed to be on my behalf, but you don't even listen to him. So what was the point of that?
Your attorney has an office upstairs where?
Chris has the office right upstairs. You walk right up the stairs. I sat right outside of it waiting for him one day.
Mr. Cremona, that's not my office. That's an office that can be used by many of the attorneys who go to the court. It's not my office. I don't have rent there or space.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you for that correction. Thank you for that correction. But do you have any other input in this scenario? What would you do if you were me? If you were me, Chris, what would you do right now?
Mr. Cremona, I've made my allocution on your behalf and I await the judge to make a decision.
So he's got no answer. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Passive. Not taking responsibility for his client. Got it.
Well, Anthony, what kind of responsibility do you want your attorney to take for you?
I want him to go back to me and say, hey, this is wrong. This is wrong. He's already served his debt to society by going to jail and paying money. Let him go. He's got stuff a lot more going on than this.
Well, you did request that I not send you to jail. And the court disagreed with that, but the court is giving an alternative to you, sir. As you indicated, you wanted to have some mental health treatment. And
to get my tether off, I did what nobody does, and I gave a couple gentlemen a ride home. Actually, both of the last times. And even though I couldn't drink, I bought them a bottle of liquor and cigarettes and a couple extra bucks. And you know, I just said, you know, I know how it is to get out of jail. Last time I got out, no one would even give me a cigarette or a lighter. And the one guy said, hey man, you do heating and cooling, you got a sawzall and to cut off my tether. And I said, dude, you shouldn't do that. But now I see why he did it. Like, I don't think if I went down south, I would get picked up and brought back up here. And that's
What does
actually
that mean?
more or less, I would rather do that than kill myself. That means I would run away and take my chances. Because I can subcontract all my work out up here and collect a very decent paycheck every week.
And what kind of paycheck would that be?
A lot of money every week. Sorry, I just heard noise outside the door and I got scared it was cops.
Is it?
No, it was someone with a dolly.
Oh, okay.
I would much rather just leave, never come back. Because here I am. The only reason why I've stayed here is to hope that I can get my name cleared from this silly little case. It's not working, no matter how hard I try. And people around me are dying.
Has anybody else passed away?
And
other than
offering me
Lauren?
death threats. This is not the place for me. This is not the place for me.
Where's not the place for you?
Michigan.
Why?
I'm called to spread the Great Commission, and I'm called to go throughout the country and spread the gospel, the good news, the true good news, not the one of Jesus Christ, who is the Antichrist, by the way.
And how long have you been doing that?
It's been 5 months, maybe 6 months when my wife first served me divorce papers based on my change of faith, which drove me insane to the point where I wanted to go drink a little bit. This is all over a faith change, man. The entirety of it is over a faith change. I got Yahweh tattooed right here behind my ear. That's the true name of God. I have an interlinear Bible behind me right now that I was going to study after we got off of here, praising God that everything was just fine. But now I'm feeling a calling on something else. And it's not suicide, but I will tell you, if I'm being truthful, those thoughts do pass through my mind from time to time from Satan. I do have a shotgun, and I shouldn't. My dad gave it to me in my storage unit, and I didn't want it back because I know my tendencies.
When did he give it to you?
Well, I went to my storage unit, I believe yesterday, and it was there when it wasn't there before. It's registered in my name. I bought it right from Dunham's. It's $300, 20 gauge Remington.
And when did you do that?
When did I purchase it?
Yes.
It was Thanksgiving like 5 years ago. I've only shot it one time at a milk carton that had water in it, just to try it out in my friend's my cousin's backyard who has a shooting range.
Where's that? The shooting range?
Over in, well, he has a spot where no one cares if you shoot guns because he's got a bunch of acreage over in, not Chelsea, one of those cities though, over there.
Manchester? Maybe
What's that?
Manchester? Manchester?
No. Celine.
Oh. How much acres does your cousin have out there?
It's only like 5 acres, but that's enough. You know, I've lost everything and I don't mind it. I've lost my house with 80 grand in equity in it. I bought my wife's car, the Equinox Cash, for 24 grand. There's so much furniture and stuff in the house. She's sitting on like 120 grand in mine right now. She can have it all. I don't care. I don't care about any of it. I'll probably never get to see my kid. I won't get to name him. If I'm being on, okay, full transparency, these next couple days, I'm probably going to spend getting my van together to be an off-roading vehicle that I'm going to live in. Get the heck in.
I'm sorry, you said you're gonna get your van together and do make it an off-road vehicle?
Not an off-road, I mean like a traveling vehicle.
Oh. You mean where you can
And I'm
have
just
it
gonna,
set
that's gonna
up
be my
for,
life.
and what kind of van is it?
Plenty of videos how to do it. And I don't think I'm gonna get picked out and get called back here based on a public intoxication misdemeanor charge. I believe that would be way too much resources to bring me back up here.
And you're going to travel everywhere or just to Missouri?
Everywhere throughout the entire country, but the further I stay from Michigan, probably better.
What's the farthest state that you've traveled to so far? Anthony?
I feel really bad that it's breaking up so badly.
Oh, that's okay. What's the farthest state that you've traveled?
I've only been to Vegas. Actually, that's the first time first wife ever saw me got drunk was in Vegas. And that's where kind of everything started with her skepticism on my drinking. I know you probably remember her from the first court date we had. She's only seen me drunk one time.
When did you go to Vegas? When were you in Vegas with your wife?
I went to the National Bryant Dealers Convention back in October. It was right after the Carrier one. Beller Young, right down the road on Northline, sent me. You know,
Oh, okay.
wife and I, however it goes.
Have you ever been to Missouri before? Where does he want to go?
Yeah, Missouri.
Have you been there before?
Never. Well, unless you can include misery, which is what I'm experiencing right now. Yeah, I've been there plenty of times.
All right, well, I've only been to Missouri to drive through it, but so other than Nevada, where else have you been? What other states have you been?
Well, anyway, I don't know how close we are to concluding this Zoom meeting. I don't know how we're going to conclude it, but whatever you're telling me to do, I really don't want to do. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm not going to have you waste resources and send someone somewhere that I'm not going to be, because the most valuable resource we have is time, and I don't want to waste anybody else's.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that, Anthony. I'm just trying to figure out how we can get you the help that you want.
Hey, I'm giving you the answer. Leave me alone, and that will be the best help you will ever give me.
Okay, well, at some point I can do that, but I can't do that right now.
No, you can do whatever you want. And so can I.
And why is that?
You can do whatever you want, and I can also do whatever I want. So for you to say you can't, whether you say you can or you can't, you're right.
What, I'm not following your question.
It's not a question. I said, whether you say you can or you cannot, you are correct. That's a life lesson.
Oh, okay.
So if you say you can't, I
So-
believe you.
Well, what are some options you have for treatment that you'd like to have?
The Bible. That's the only place I go to for guidance, period. Not a pastor, not some man who thinks they know about the Bible. I go to scripture and God alone. My help comes from him, the maker of heaven and earth.
Okay, and so how do you think that he's able to, the maker of heaven and earth is able to help you?
Is the Pope Catholic? Yeah. Is an elephant big? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a silly question. They say there's not such thing as a silly question. That's a silly question. Can he help me? He made me from dust.
No, Anthony, I asked, how can he help you?
Well, you know, his ways are above my ways. And you know what? Every single day I turn a corner, I see a miracle that I didn't even think was possible. So for me to tell you how I think he can help me, I have no clue, but I'm super excited to find out. I'm just a man. Fallible and imperfect.
Everybody's imperfect.
Do you know how many people I've told about my case and they go, there's no way that you're still on. You need a better lawyer, that you need this, you need that. You know how many people have told me there's no way you should have went to jail over what you did. And here we are, getting told I'm going to jail again. I know it's not anymore or whatever, but had I not spoke up, I would be going to jail right now. And not because Chris spoke up, because I spoke up. And nobody wants to pay attention until things get serious. As soon as I say, oh, I want to kill myself, bam, okay, now people want to listen. And here's perk. Is that what it takes in this day and for someone to be free, they got to be crazy? It just makes no sense. And why were you going to put me in jail?
Because, sir, you violated this court's orders.
After the person I care about most in the world just died. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous.
When there's court orders that aren't followed, there are consequences. To make sure that the orders are followed.
Depression has been one of my biggest consequences. I've been dealing with my own consequences outside of the court.
And so how are you dealing with those consequences?
I was dealing with them very well until this morning.
Okay, what were you doing to deal with those?
Working, reading. I have a journal I've been writing in. I've been talking to people that will actually listen to me here and there. I've been experiencing ways. And you know what? Every single day I turn a corner, I see a miracle that I didn't even think was possible. So for me to tell you how I think he can help me, I have no clue, but I'm super excited to find out. I'm just a man. Fallible and imperfect.
Everybody's imperfect.
Do you know how many people I've told about my case and they go, there's no way that you're still on. You need a better lawyer, that you need this, you need that. You know how many people have told me there's no way you should have went to jail over what you did. And here we are, getting told I'm going to jail again. I know it's not anymore or whatever, but had I not spoke up, I would be going to jail right now. And not because Chris spoke up, because I spoke up. And nobody wants to pay attention until things get serious. As soon as I say, oh, I want to kill myself, bam, okay, now people want to listen. And here's perk. Is that what it takes in this day and for someone to be free, they got to be crazy? It just makes no sense. And why were you going to put me in jail?
Because, sir, you violated this court's orders.
After the person I care about most in the world just died. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous.
Or when there's court orders that aren't followed, there are consequences. To make sure that the
Yeah,
orders are followed.
depression has been one of my biggest consequences. I've been dealing with my own consequences outside of the court.
And so how are you dealing with those consequences?
I was dealing with them very well until this morning.
Okay, what were you doing
I
to
was
deal with those?
working, reading. I have a journal I've been writing in. I've been talking to people that will actually listen to me here and there. I've been experiencing love from the most random of places, like Cracker Barrel. I'm sitting in line praying with people that are feeding life into me, telling me about Philippians chapter 4, verses 6-8. You know, different things like that. And then his name is Mark, and it was the third or the second, I don't know, it might be the third gospel. There's been a lot that I've been doing. Well, nicotine helps a little bit, but I'm not allowed to do that in the courtroom either until I do it. And then no one says anything anymore because he's crazy.
You're not allowed to use nicotine?
You told me quit vaping. Don't eat,
I
don't
just said-
vape.
No, I did not say don't eat and don't vape. I did not say that.
Okay, you said, Mr. Carmona, are you eating or vaping in the courtroom before we proceeded with my hearing?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you meant as a bond condition.
Well, I didn't. But anyway, and then here I am, and you haven't said anything about it since the last 8 hits that I took based on the current circumstances. It's a change of
You're
perspective.
correct. Well, you're correct that I haven't said anything about you vaping while you're there right now.
Yeah,
But I
things
noticed it.
have changed since I said something that he, for some reason, Chris, I don't know.
And I also didn't say anything
What's the
about
point of hiring a
you
lawyer?
having a hat on. I'm sorry, what's that, sir?
All right, here's what's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen. I can see the trajectory. Of what's gonna happen in the future to me if I oblige and if I don't. And it's a long road and I don't have time for this. I just don't. So after we get off this call, I'm gonna start getting my stuff together. And I'm gonna be heading out. I'm gonna get out of Dodge. That's what's happening.
And what's your plan when you get out of Dodge?
Doesn't matter to you. You'll never see me again.
We'll get out of Dodge.
Maybe I'll
get
write a
out of
book.
Michigan.
Oh yeah, I'm out of here for a fact. I'll probably go to not to Missouri because I think that's too close and they will bring me back from there. I'm gonna go much further than that, maybe California, and stay at one of those parks where all the homeless people are at. One of those communities where no one else can get in there except the person who, except people who live there. Cops don't even come into them. Unfortunately, they're infiltrated with drugs. I've been staying at marinas and stuff up here, just trying to stay as incognito as possible, not because of the law, because of people who are out to get me. If you saw the amount of death threats that I've received as a result of Lauren's passing, you would not question my mental capacity at this point, or my mental state. Sorry.
And what do you mean by that?
I mean, have you ever been threatened to be killed before?
Sir, I'm a judge. Those threats come often.
Well, how do they affect you?
What do you mean?
When someone says something like that to you, how are you affected by it, whether you believe it to be an empty threat or not? Because I've never received something like this before. I could see someone in jail who knows about me. I'm not safe here. And whether I am safe or not, I don't feel safe, and perception trumps reality. Since I don't have a tether on anymore, is it a felony to leave the state while you're on probation?
Well, it's definitely a violation of the court order.
Is it a felony?
In all honesty, it is not a felony to leave the state while you're on bond if you're charged with a misdemeanor.
Well, Chris, you can keep the change, man. All good. I'll be fine. I'll be just fine. I know what I'm doing.
Where is it you plan on going?
Everywhere and anywhere, wherever I'm called. I can tell you it won't be Michigan. I can at least give you that. Or Ohio, because Ohio just sucks.
Why is Ohio so bad?
Well, first of all, it's the longest, most boring part of the drive when you're going down to Florida. And there's nothing really there. And I don't know, I guess the rivalry between the football teams has always been deep-seated in me for no reason at all, just to get along with people.
Well, what about?
Have you ever seen Joker? Have you ever seen Joker from 2019?
Joker, the movie? I can tell you, I
From
honestly have not
2019.
watched.
Yeah.
I have not watched many movies. What's that one about?
You should watch that one.
What's it about?
It's about mental health. Lauren showed it to me, actually.
Who stars in that movie?
Probably one of the best actors of all time. I just don't know his name, but he's fantastic.
What's that?
It's actually the quote that I said when I said, what do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that doesn't care about him and treats him like trash? It's a joke.
The book?
It's a joke.
Oh, a joke.
He says you get what you deserve.
You don't know who's in the, does somebody play the Joker? Or is the Joker just the name of the movie?
Correct, yeah. Joker is the name of the movie, and the actor that played him did a really good job. And if you watch that movie, you'll get a better understanding of mental health. Lauren showed it to me right before she died.
Where did you watch it?
She was raped by 9 men at one time.
Well, that's definitely very traumatic and
She was molested by her dad.
Sure.
Yeah, she was molested by her dad her entire life. Everywhere she goes, she carried something around with her that people wanted to just sexually abuse her. And I came in there and I was so good to her. I was so good to her.
And so how long were the two of you,
She's the reason I married Emily in the first place. She's the reason I married my first wife in the first place. She's like, yeah, you should be with her because there's nothing about her that she wouldn't love. Also, I was the best man at her older brother's wedding because we were best friends. I caught the garter and she caught the bouquet. We did the song and dance, the seance that foreshadowed our relationship to follow. It was too short of time that I had with her.
so you knew Lauren before you married your wife?
I loved Lauren before I married my wife. But she was already in a committed relationship of 10 years.
For 10 years?
Yeah, so she wasn't an option.
And so how did the two of you end up reconnecting?
I wanted to reach out to my friend John to talk about my divorce and everything that was going on, and he'd always lift my spirits, and he didn't answer the phone. He didn't answer the phone. He didn't answer the phone. So then I messaged Lauren and I said, hey, do you want to hang out and talk for a minute? Because she's the next best thing. She was like the female version of John. And I went over there and she said, just how sexually frustrated are you based on that video? And after that, we had that sexual encounter. She decided, I don't want another girl to ever touch you again. And this is not what she intended at first, which was to hang out and be crazy and stuff. And she let me move in that day, which I asked Chris if I was allowed to do it. And he said, based on the separation with my first wife, it was totally lawful for me to live with her and move in with her and for everything to work out. And then when she died, I missed my drug test. And then you unlocked me up. So I guess that changes plans on how quickly I was going to leave the state, because I was already going to ask for permission to go in September, but now I'm not really going to ask you for anything.
Well, I remember that Mr. Semke asked or mentioned that last time, I believe, right?
No, he
So I
didn't.
said that was-
Nope, he didn't. No. In fact, you barely let me get my alcohol tether off.
Or maybe you're the one that mentioned it, but I thought somebody mentioned it before.
I
About
did,
wanting
and
to
every
go.
time I go to say something to you, he tells me to, every time I go to say something to you, he tells me to stop talking. But anytime I say something to you, something starts to change. So I don't understand why he keeps trying to hold me down.
Well, so I can tell you that.
When I start talking, then you start listening, and then you start to have sort of an empathetic heart. You know, I wanted to go to law school, but I was too poor.
Too
So I
poor.
did heating and cooling because I never graduated high school because juvenile screwed that up for me.
But did you get your high school diploma or did you get a GED?
I got a GED. I quit high school and went the next day and took a test.
And you passed it pretty well? Pretty easily?
I did the things and then I walked out and people were still in there. They didn't even finish theirs. Like I was done with it in half the time. Didn't even need to double check my answers. It was that easy.
No,
It was much
you're
harder to get my
smart.
state contractor's license than it was the GED. Sorry, what was that?
I said, you are a smart person. Do you still want to go to law school?
Oh, I know that.
Why did you want to go to law
I
school
don't want anything to
before?
do with the law
Okay, fair enough.
because I like to argue.
Okay.
So it's a selfish ambition. It's not really to help anybody. It's just because I like to argue. So that's not really of value to me any longer. I'm only out for others, not myself.
Oh, do you want treatment?
No, I want to be left alone.
So when you said that you would rather go to treatment than go to jail, were you being honest with me or not?
I would rather go to treatment than jail, but if I'm going to get a tether put on, I'd rather be dead.
Well, then how am I supposed to know that you're in treatment, sir?
So here's my deal. I'm going to end up getting locked up eventually. The best case that I have, the best shot I have is just run away. Dip on out. Maybe I'll get locked up. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'm prolonging the inevitable. Maybe I'll just be just fine living somewhere completely else for my entire life.
Well, why do you think that you're going to be locked up eventually? If you are.
Well, I'm just saying,
receiving-
like, if I'm out there and you guys put down like a triple star, like 5 stars, like, yes, this guy, if you pick him up, he needs to come back for sure. well then, yeah, maybe I'll get locked up if I get pulled over on a speeding ticket or hazard, like my backlight's not working or something like that. But maybe I'll never get pulled over again. Maybe I'll never run into the law ever again. And maybe I'll be just completely fine. And honestly, I'd rather take the chance on that. Just like the Haitian individual who asked me to cut his tether off with a sawzall, which I would not do.
There was a Haitian individual that wanted you to cut their tether off.
I thought he was crazy. Now I'm like, sorry, it broke up again.
No, that's okay. You thought he was crazy and now you're what?
Now I'm like, oh, I see your point. I don't think I'll ever get picked up, even if I did get pulled over. I'd be like, ah, whatever. Because
Why
of
do you
how
think that?
not serious my crime is. Because my crime's laughable. Because my whole life is a joke, hence why I love that movie so much.
Why is your whole life a joke? Why is your whole life a joke?
Trying to reposition this computer.
What's that?
Well, look at the first court date. It was hilarious. All it was crafting lying emojis the entire time. Everywhere I go, I tell jokes. Hey, what's Bruce Lee's favorite drink? What, huh? What's Adolf Hitler's favorite letter? I don't know either, but it's not Z. I got another really good one, but it's like 2 minutes long.
What's that one?
I don't know why the connection got so crappy all of a sudden. I got Verizon, pay $500 a month for my business account, and it doesn't even cooperate. I got my golf clubs. I got all my stuff. Packed it all up.
What's that 2-minute joke?
Get the heck out of here. Sell my Saturn Sky. Make money for child support once the baby's born.
What's your 2-minute joke that you said you have?
Never get to be a dad.
You can sell
Oh my
your
gosh,
dad.
there's a cockroach in here, dude. Ew. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. See, that's another sign I need to leave. Holy cow. I don't think that this is a joke. I'm not trying to take your guys' time lightly at all. I just want you to let me go and leave me alone. That's it. Just leave me alone.
Well, you said you had
Pants
another
on, so I can
joke.
go
What's that?
outside.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Well, there's no punchline to it, if you want to know.
Okay, well, go ahead.
All right. It's pretty good. It's a dad joke. So the other day I was on this hill doing Kung Fu, and I'm standing at the top of the hill doing all my Kung Fu moves like this. And I look down at the bottom of the hill and there's this guy down there with a long, skinny, isosceles triangle shaped beard, really long. He's an Oriental fellow also doing Kung Fu, which I recognize because it looks very similar to what I'm doing, besides the fact that his moves are much more concise. Out of nowhere, a black bull runs up on him, charging him. And he turns around and says, Bruce Lee's favorite drink, what's up? And the bull stops in its tracks and turns back around and runs away. And I said, oh my gosh, how in the world did he do that? And so I run down there and I say, hey, how'd you do that? And he says, well, yes, young grasshopper, one must know the bull line. So I go, what the heck's he talking about? The bull line. So I go home, talk it over with the.
Hold on, Anthony, your connection's not so great right now.
And then
Oh, there we go.
Guy's crazy. A goal line, which I don't understand what it is. I think it was a line that. Anyway, deja vu. Now I'm saying.
Anthony, your connection's a little bit spotty right now.
Top of the one moves, and I'm. So I'm doing my kung fu stuff that I was doing the first day, and I looked down, and out of nowhere, a hawk dives down at him, and he grabs the hawk with his hand and throws it right back off into the sky. And I go, how the heck did he do that? So I run down there, and I'm like, hey, dude, how'd you do that? And he goes, yes, young grasshopper. One must know the hawk line. I'm like, what the heck is this guy talking about, the hawk line? He's got me totally confused. And I'm like, what is even kung fu? You know, not something that I thought it was. And anyway, I go back home and I come back the next day. I'm doing my kung fu again, just like I did the prior 2 days. I look down the hill and the guy's down there and someone runs up on him, 3 dudes actually, and start beating the mess out of him, punching him, no kicking, just straight punches. And I'm like, wow, he can't even handle fists from a person. That's terrible. They run his pockets. They take all of his money. They take his belt, not the black one, the Louis Vuitton, because people care much more about money than they do about people. They run off with all of his stuff. So I run down there to go help him out. He stands up on his own accord, and he looks me in the eyes, and he tells me something I will never forget. Yes, young grasshopper. There is no punchline.
Oh. Well, here you go. That was a night. That was pretty interesting. Pretty long. Pretty interesting.
I shortened it. A tattoo artist told me that while we were getting our tattoos, and I got a kick out of it. We only kick out of it.
Your tattoo? Oh.
Yeah.
Right. And
we got ant tattoos.
What's that?
We got ant tattoos, like I told you.
I didn't see where you said that your tattoo was. Oh, there. Oh.
And she got hers behind her ear, and they used to hang out all the time.
And so, where do you go for that?
I don't even remember what the place was called. I tried calling it back again, and they didn't. I couldn't figure out where it was. I actually didn't like it either because when the guy was giving her tattoo, he was leaning up against her butt really bad and made her feel really uncomfortable.
Did you get the tattoo behind your ear at the same location?
Yeah, I usually do 2 at a time. I got this one just recently. It says Elohim, which is the name of God, on my ring finger, because I don't plan on ever marrying another woman ever in my entire life.
When did you get that one?
At the Allen Park Street Fair the other night, my friend Tony was actually working the front desk, and he was the one who gave me my first tattoo as a kid, and I was like, wow, I'm in the right place at the right time. So he gave me that one, and then he also gave me this one, which is Ezekiel chapter 9 verses 3-5, which is how I know I'm sealed by Elohim. The term saved is a non-existent thing. It's not even real in the context that we believe it to be. Hence why I left the church. I would talk to Chris about these things, but he doesn't believe in God.
Wow. All right.
That's a deep subject.
Wow.
That one's even deeper.
So where does Tony work?
Right next to Marshall Music at that tattoo parlor.
Oh, okay. What? And so it's by, so you didn't get, Tony didn't do your other tattoo with Lauren?
Nope. I refuse to go back to that place. Like I said, that guy disgusts me. So is the reason why we're still on the Zoom because you're going to continue to try to convince me to go to a hospital? Like, are we at a standstill, like stalemate? Because I'm not going to go to the hospital.
Why not?
I'm also not going to go to jail. I'm not going to accept a tether. I'm just going to be a needle in a haystack, and I'm just going to be a homeless guy for the rest of my life.
Well, how are you going to do your business? Conduct your business?
All I do is beep, beep, boop, boop. I go beep, beep, boop, boop on my phone, send someone to go somewhere, collect the money, and then pay them out. I just subcontract it all. It's really easy. Making money for me is like one of the easiest things in the world. I wake up and get $3,000 cash just like that. And then I go out to eat. And then I sit there and figure out a way to make a little more money. And then I do all my Bible studying and all that stuff. Today actually is a spiritual day for me based on the lunar calendar. Do you know what the word moon means in Latin?
The word what?
Moon, like our moon. It actually means month. And that's actually the calendar we're supposed to be going by. Not the Gregorian, not the one that was created by Pope Gregory. Because Rome is actually the fourth beast from scripture that rules with 7 heads on all 7 continents. You can read all about it in Revelation.
Oh,
I don't know when the end of the world's coming, but if you look at this day and age that we live in, we know our world works in numbers, right? What number is Michael Jordan? What number is LeBron James? What year are we in? What's 2 divided by 3? You got a calculator? What's 2 divided by 3? I give you a hint. That's the year we're in. 666666666 forever. That's the year we're in, and that's why I'm facing all this opposition, even though I've barely done anything wrong. Spiritual warfare, spiritual principalities of the air are attacking me, and they're playing out through the flesh. I'm not an idiot, and people would call me crazy. I get it. Doesn't make sense to most people. I don't expect it to. I'm a modern day prophet, and I know that. Now I'm crazy, right? Now I'm nuts.
no.
I get it. Hey,
No,
if you
I'm
read
just-
Galatians 4:16, it says, as a result of me telling the truth, have I become your enemy? Everyone in my life has.
Okay. So you said that you wake up and you earn $3,000 a day?
It depends on the
Dispatch
day.
people out?
Oh, it just depends on the day. Some days I lose $50. Some days I clear 10 grand. Some days, I make ridiculous money. I'm glad I never became a lawyer. I'd be working way too hard for the same money.
Well, maybe not even that much money, actually, but, so you go out to eat every day?
Well, yeah, except for the days that I'm not supposed to work, I get bread and peanut butter and jelly, and just because like I believe today to be the true Sabbath day based on the lunar calendar and the way that I study the moon. And so therefore I'm not allowed to buy today, period. That's why I own my own business, because if I worked for somebody else, they would force me to work.
And so you just dispatch other people out?
Oh, do you know why I started a heating and cooling company? Huh?
Why?
Oh, no, I wouldn't force anyone else to work for me either on a day like today either. I won't even take calls that someone want. I go, yeah, you can fill out our request form, but I'll look at it tomorrow. That's about it. Now, I would go run a call if it was for free because there's someone in need, but not as a transactional, purpose.
What is the difference?
Like if I'm going to accept money, it's for my own gain, and I wouldn't do it for that. Like if I was going to someone's house because I feel like they're in need of something beyond their air conditioner being fixed, I would fix it for free, and then I would address whatever other issue. If they said my husband just died and XYZ and my cooling is out, then yeah, I'd go there masked as I'm going there as a cooling guy, and I would hook them up. And I would pray with them, talk with them, show them scripture, and spread the gospel, because that's the way that we're supposed to be doing it, is meeting in people's homes, not in big church buildings. That is the true Great Commission. And you want to know who got locked up all the time for his name's sake? Peter, Paul, John. They all got thrown in jail, just like me. You know what I did while I was in jail? Preached Yahweh and Yeshua in that jail. And I did remain untouched. However, I was scared as can be. I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, but I feared all the evil.
So can you, I'm curious, why are there two names? You're telling me Yahweh and Yeshua?
Yeshua, yes. So the Father is Yahweh. He's the maker of heaven and earth. And then we needed someone who was going to make it so we don't have to sacrifice goats anymore and shed blood, and someone to get rid of the enmity between the Jew and the Gentile. So now we are grafted in and have full access through the blood of the true Messiah, who is not Jesus. That's the Antichrist that's going to deceive everyone till the very end. That's Revelation 13:18. And then if you read Revelation 14:1, the very next verse, it says exactly what the seal of Elohim is. It's the Father's name, which is this, Yahweh. Exodus chapter 13, verses 8 through 10 will tell you what the true seal of Elohim is as well. The memorial between your eyes and the sign on your hand is when you actually partake in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Then if you read Ezekiel chapter 9, verses 3 through 5, it's the same thing. This is the verse that I know sealed me, because when my wife wouldn't touch me one night, I had a true revelation and experience in my own basement in my house that I'm not allowed in anymore. Which, by the way, did you know that the Messiah had no place to lay his head either?
I did not know
That he
that.
stayed somewhere else every single day as well? Right. Do you know what age he was when he started his ministry? 30 years old. I'm 31. I'm a little late. I'm not the Messiah, but we're called to do exactly what he did and follow in the footsteps he did. John 14:15, if you love me, keep my commandments. Do we even know what the 10 commandments are to begin there? Most people don't. There's 10,000 promises in scripture. Most Christians can't name 10. Did you know that?
There's 10,000 what?
Promises in scripture, and most Christians can't name 10.
Can you name the 10 commandments?
Yeah.
And then what are some of the 10,000 promises?
Well, let's just start with the rainbow. Do you know what the rainbow represents?
What's that?
It's a covenant between him and us at the time of Noah that he would never flood the earth again. Do you know what the rainbow represents now? What it covers up now? It covers up two ugly things, gay and pride, two detestable things in the sight of him. They perverted our rainbow to protect something that he hates. How about that? You like apples? How about them apples?
Apples? Oh, how about them apples? What's another promise?
I know that.
Then in that day when we call on his name, we will be saved.
Okay.
The dead in him are going to arise first. That's a promise. And do you know what a prophet is? Someone who speaks the truth of something that's going to happen, and then it does. So if you're reading Revelation, you believe it to be true, and you preach it, you are a modern day prophet by definition.
Tell them that person is.
Okay. So that one doesn't really make, that one I don't really know very much. What about another promise?
Well, one of them I just told you would be that when we tell our kids the story of what happened during the time of Exodus, as we partake in the feast and we tell them exactly why we're doing it, that we are sealed from that day forward. Also, we're supposed to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All the feasts are supposed to be appointed from year to year forever, period.
Oh.
And Easter is not one of those days. In fact, Easter is as pagan as it gets. Same thing with Christmas. And I bet you Chris Shemke, who doesn't even believe in God, celebrates Christmas.
So why do you think some people celebrate Christmas if they don't believe in God?
You know, I don't know why people who believe in God celebrate Christmas. Or 4th of July, to that point.
Why is that?
Because they're traditions of men, and scripture specifically says don't speak on them, don't do them. Here's another thing. Do you know what the word pharmaceutical actually means in Latin?
What word?
Sorcery. Pharmaceutical.
Oh, pharmaceutical, okay.
It means,
means
look this
sorcery?
up. It means sorcery. Yes. And so when we ingest these pills, which by the way is what killed Lauren, because she took her doctors prescribed her benzos, the fentanyl that she got mixed together, there was no bringing her back. None. No Narcan, no nothing
But
could
if
have saved her.
But if somebody uses fentanyl, even by itself, isn't that likely to,
I'm not an expert on any of these chemicals. I'm just telling you one thing that I had just learned based off of her death.
oh,
I'm saying that
oh, okay.
any type of pharmaceutical is bad. It's bad news bears, all of it.
Okay,
And that's why I refuse, like when I'm going to get therapy or whatever, they're going to try to tell me I need to take a drug, and I'm going to be in strict opposition to that anyway. So it's almost even pointless to go unless someone's just sitting there to hear me out like you are right now. This is therapy for me.
do you feel any better or not really?
100%. Oh, I feel, yes. At the beginning of this, I felt depressed, scared, and now I feel empowered and alive.
Okay,
However, that doesn't change the trajectory of what I'm going to do.
which is what?
I'm leaving the state. Figuratively and metaphorically. I mean, physically and metaphorically. I'm leaving this state of mind, and I'm leaving it here in Michigan.
But you haven't figured out where you're going to go, other than you're not going to Ohio?
Right. Correct. I might travel through Ohio for a little bit of time, but after I get out of Ohio, I mean, no, I am not really. Ohio's pretty boring. I'd rather go to like Arizona, New Mexico. Texas is nice. I love the Riverwalk. I've never been to California, but that's pretty evil over there too. Hollywood is like the worst.
I can say I've never been to California.
Yeah, I'll probably go. No, I can't afford it because I only make Michigan money.
Wow.
I got the longboard right here, though. I was riding it last night. It was Lauren's. I kept it. Yeah.
Is there a lot of space for you to ride it, or just in the parking lot?
Well, and over this little hill and stuff. And yeah. Yeah, it's fun. The parking lot was nice by itself, but yeah, there's to go over freeways and stuff to get to a gas station. This isn't, when I was a juvenile, I cut off a tether and tried to run away to Florida. It was just a house tether, but we actually tried to run away to Florida. We got picked up in Bowling Green on some bicycles. The only thing that I really hate that I'm leaving behind is the fact that my wife is having a kid. Other than that, I got nothing here. Just that baby. That's all. And that sucks, like big time. But I mean, honestly, if this court date would have went completely different from the beginning, I would be staying here. I would be obliging to everything. As soon as you said jail, snapped my brain in half. Like nope. Okay, I see where I'm being called now, and it's not jail. Jail is not meant for me. Mental institution is not meant for me. I'm totally fine. I handle life just fine. I'm not a violent individual. I know when to sit down and shut up. I know what I'm doing, but I'm getting treated like an animal, and I'm done with it. I'm done getting drunk. I'm not gonna ever use another drug. Simple as that. I'll pay you guys whatever you want. Just let me go. You'll never see me again. You'll never hear me again. Never see me again. Chris can keep the change. I'm good. I will seek professional help.
So if you want to seek professional help, why don't you want to do it right now? You said you have an
Because I
appointment
don't want to
tomorrow.
under the supervision or under the thumb of somebody else. I don't want to be holding and having a tether on anymore. No, I'm not doing it anymore. I refuse. Respectfully, I just refuse. I feel I've done everything up until this point to the best of my ability. The reason why I missed the drug test, I have no clue. Honestly, I would wake up, I call every day. I could tell you the colors that were today. It was a green, aqua, and like amber or something like that. As long as it wasn't pink. By the way, Lauren's favorite color was pink, and that's my color. You believe that?
Well, that's something.
You know, I don't even need glasses. I was just trying to look smart. I was trying to blend in with you guys.
Well, I only take
I don't
my.
even need glasses. I have 20/20 vision. My eyes are just fine. These are blue light glasses. Someone told me they look good. So I was like, okay, I'll wear them.
Well, that's good. My eyes are shot, so I don't have great vision.
I have impeccable vision. I could be a pilot.